Hey guys, so today I am here with another story time video. You guys seem to be really enjoying my story times, and I do have a few that I think are pretty interesting. The more I thought about it, the more I was like, I do have a lot of stories I can share. The past couple have been more so like mom and like pregnancy stories, but this story is before I found out I was pregnant, about like a year before actually, and it's all about the worst customers I had when I was working at Sephora. So I have two particular stories in mind. These were two customers that really stood out to me, two that really made me question why I worked in retail and also why people treat people the way these women did. It was a little bit ridiculous, but I wanted to share them with you because I just, looking back on it now, it's been like 4.5 years. Very interesting to me, the things that I had to, deal with while working at Sephora. So if you guys do not know, I used to work at Sephora, like I said. I worked there when I was 18/19, and I actually worked in California. I worked at the South Coast Plaza Mall. There's actually two Sephoras in that mall. There's the bigger Sephora in South Coast Plaza, which is in Costa Mesa. And then there is a smaller mall, like off to the side. They're still connected, but it's the Crystal Court Mall. And there's a smaller Sephora, which is still fairly large in that mall. And I actually opened that store. I've talked about that quite frequently. So if you're not new to my channel, you definitely know that's where I used to work a long time ago. It's over now. But while I was working there, like I said, you experience a lot of just random people, a lot of all walks of life, all sorts of different people. And it was also sort of like not necessarily a tourist city, but I feel like a lot of tourists that were coming from like LA and like Anaheim were shopping at South Coast Plaza, so we were getting a lot of like different people. These two women in particular, though, I know for a fact are from California. I saw them frequently in my store, and oh boy, it was such an interesting experience. So I'll start off with the one that isn't quite as bad, but still kind of like was sort of, I don't know how to explain. It sort of just irritated me and kind of just annoyed me because I was really trying to help this girl and she was not having it, and I was like, okay. So when I was hired to work at Sephora, I was hired to work at the cash wrap, which is the register. I was, assigned to the register. I didn't really move from it. I was kind of just always in that area. But as I continued working there, I ended up kind of getting moved into color, which is makeup. So I was moving around quite a bit. I was doing some makeup. I wasn't certified, but I was able to do just kind of like quick 15-minute makeup looks on people, just real quick stuff, and I was pretty good at it. I feel like I was pretty decent at putting on like quick eyeliner, popping like an eyeshadow on. It was really simple. So it was Halloween, and I was actually kind of floating around, so they wanted me kind of anywhere that I was needed because we were really packed. All of our certified makeup artists had people back to back to back to do their makeup for Halloween, and so we had other people that were sort of in color helping, but also I was able to jump on the cash register if they needed me. So I happened to be at the cash register, and a girl who she kind of frequented our store, so I kind of knew who she was, came in and she was like, hey, like, I'm going to a party tonight. I am going as like a bottle of wine, and her friend was going as like cheese. I don't know, it was just like a cute costume idea, whatever. And she was like, I just really want like a really nice like purple smoky eye. And like I did purple smoky eyes all the time when I was at Sephora. Like if you guys remember, we daily vlogged back then, and we still do, so shameless self promo if you want to watch my daily vlog channel, link it down below. But you may have heard these stories. So I did purple smoky eyes all the time on myself and all the time on other people. So I was working at the register, and she was like, is anyone available to help me? And I was like, yeah, just give me like 1 minute and I'll be right there, because she didn't have an appointment. She literally just like waltzed in and was like, can you do this? And I said yes, because good customer service, you always gotta say yes. So I was like, yeah, absolutely, I can totally do that, just give me a minute. So I finished ringing up the person I was working with. I passed somebody into me, like I tagged them in, and I walked around the counter, and I was like, okay, let's go over to like the Urban Decay like area, and I'll start working on your face. So she just wanted a simple purple smoky eye, which I can do pretty well. So I went to the Urban Decay area, I grabbed the Naked 2 palette, and I grabbed that like purple color that's at the back. I'll show you here. Let me give you an example. This purple shade right here. And what I started to do was I started packing it on her lid and blending. So I would pack some on her lid, I would blend. I would pack some on her lid, I would blend. Meanwhile, mind you, I kind of have to get this done in 15 minutes because we're not necessarily timed, but the quicker you can get them in and out, the better, because they shouldn't have an appointment. So I kind of wanted to get her in and out. So I put it on, blend, put it on, blend, put it on, blend. And it took me maybe like 2 minutes to do one eye, which isn't a long time for one color, and to blend it. Like, it's a dark color. I didn't want it going down here. I didn't want it going like crazy. I wanted to be able to make it look perfect. I really wanted it to look good. And I could tell she was getting sort of like irritated, I guess you could say. She just seemed like, I don't know, like rushed, and I didn't understand because I had sort of told her ahead of time. I was like, yeah, this is gonna be like 15 minutes. Is that okay? Like, if you need an appointment, like I can see if we can squeeze you in with someone, but you know, for right now, I'm the best you got. And she was like, yeah, that's totally fine. Like super calm about it. And I was like, okay, cool. So I could tell she was getting irritated, and I was like, okay, like, let me start rushing. So I started rushing. I started working on the other eye. I kind of left the first eye as it was, and I was going to go back to it. And she kind of stopped me. She said, wait. So I stopped and I waited, and she looked in the mirror and she was like, you didn't finish this eye. And I said, I know, like I'm trying to go as fast as I can because, you know, we do only have 15 minutes and I can tell you're in a hurry. So I'm trying to kind of go as quickly as I can, all while making it look good. She said, no, I don't like it. I said, okay, like, do you want me to take it off and start over? Like, what would you like to do in this situation? She said, can you go get one of the girls from over there to do it for me, please? I said, okay. Most of these girls are with clients right now that have had appointments scheduled, but I'll see what I can do. So I walked over to one of my friends, actually, and I was like, hey, I have this, like, client. She's kind of a pain in the butt, but she wants somebody to do the smoky eye for her. She doesn't seem to like what I'm doing, like, whatever. I don't really care, like, you don't have to like it, it's totally fine. Do you mind, like, do you have time to do it? She said, yeah, I'll just do it really, really quick. So she walks over and I said, hi, this is my friend, or I don't think I said friend. I might have said coworker. I don't know what I said, but I said, hi, this is so-and-so, and she's gonna finish up your smoky eye for you. And she said, okay, perfect. And I said, okay, that's fine. It was really calm. Like, she wasn't like, she was kind of like snappy, but it was sort of like a calm situation. I knew I could handle it. So I walked away and I went about my business. I kept working. I think I was on the register. I think I was roaming around. I don't know. I was doing something. And like 30 minutes later, my friend comes over to me and she was like, yeah, she complained the entire time. And I said, okay, like, I don't understand, like, what did you do differently that I didn't do? And she was like, I did the exact same thing you were doing, and she was complaining about how you were going too slow, but yet I did her eyes in like 15, 20 minutes. And I said, I know, I was literally going to be done in 15 minutes, but she was so mad and she was so aggravated with me. I don't know, I was just like, okay, whatever. And that was more of the tamer story, but I still wanted to share it because it was just, at the time, I was just kind of blown away by how, like, irritated she was with me when someone else took longer, if that makes any sense. Anyway, now on to the cream of the crop, the best story I have, I feel. Like, thinking about this story, this woman literally made me so mad, and I don't understand, like, how people treat people the way this woman treated me. So it was like a Tuesday or Wednesday night. It was a weeknight, and we were closing, and the mall's really dead on the weekdays. Like, it is so dead. So it had been, I think I was working like an evening shift, like afternoon, evening. It was a long shift, and we were getting ready to close. We were like 5 minutes away from closing. There was maybe 5 of us in the store. I was the only person at the register. There was a girl cleaning the beauty studio. Our manager was in the back counting the registers that I wasn't on. Like, she had closed the other 3 and I was just on one. We had one girl in like color putting makeup away, one in skincare like sweeping, and I think it was just me. I think that was literally everybody. Like, we had nobody there, which was fine. No one was in the store. We were waiting for like a minute before to walk over to the door to lock it and close it and be done for the night. It was just a calm day, and so I'm just sitting there like cleaning up the cash register, folding some tissue paper, putting bags away. Like, I was just kind of cleaning up. And her husband rush in, and usually when people rush in, like, you know, they know what they want, they're gonna get it, they're gonna be done. So I was like, okay, this is fine, we're just going with it. So she walked back to skincare. She got exactly what she wanted. It was a stupid Peter Thomas Roth cleanser. I will never forget it. And she came up to me and she put it on the counter, and I started ringing her up, and I did the whole usual, like, rang it up, started wrapping it in the tissue paper. As I'm wrapping it, I had like a whole routine. As I'm wrapping, I'm like, oh, are you a beauty insider? She said, yes. Okay, do you have your card? No, you're gonna have to look me up. Now, there's only ways, like a few ways to look people up. There's their first and last name, email, phone number, birthday, and zip code. I'm pretty sure were the only ways we could look people up. And I said, okay, what's your email? And she gave me her email. And mind you, this woman had a name that's very common, but it's spelled a little bit differently. Like, my name's Kirsten, and I know a lot of people pronounce it like Kirsten or Kristen. It's Kirsten. It's spelled, I think, the way it's pronounced, but it's hard to pronounce sometimes. So I totally understood. I felt for her. But she had a very common name that was spelled a little bit differently. And also her first and last name rhymed. Like mine is Kirsten, like Kirsten Schmerston was like my example, and hers literally was like, like it literally rhymed. So she said her name at whatever.com, and so I typed it in because she didn't spell it at first. So I obviously misspelled it because that's not what I was used to, which is totally fine. And so I said, oh, I can't find it. Did I misspell it? So I read it back to her, and she said, yeah, you did. I said, okay, how do you spell it? And so she spelled it out for me, so I typed it in, and it still wasn't coming up. And she was like, you misspelled it. And I was like, I know, that's why I had you spell it back to me, you know, is it still okay? Like, I turned my screen a little bit, and she was like, yeah, can we look it up by phone number? Okay, fine. So I erased the email, I type in her phone number, nothing comes up. I type in her husband's phone number, who's sitting next to me, nothing comes up. I said, let's try your first and last name. So at that time, I had already erased her email, so I asked her again politely, do you mind respelling your first and last name for me? And she had such an attitude at this point. She was like, you should have gotten it the first time. Okay, like, I'm sorry. And I'm so calm with people. Like, I'm literally so calm. Like, I've always had patience with people. So I had her respell it. She was very agitated. She was, like, really treating me like an idiot. She was like, let's pretend her name's my name. So she was like, Kirs, and, like, super, like, aggressive. And her husband's just, like, sitting on his phone. And I'm like, okay, you don't have to be, like, she was loud and, like, kind of, like, aggressive about it. I was like, this is okay. And she was so loud, too. I mean, mind you, the store was empty. But, like, the girl that was working at Beauty Studio looked over and she was like, are you okay? And I was like, yeah, we're good. Like, I got this. I can do this. So I can't find her under her first and last name. So then I kind of explained to her, I said, you know, sometimes if you sign up in stores and you don't want to give your email or your phone number, a store will just enter like ABCDEFG 1 2 3 4 4 5 6 7 8 22 at yahoo.com just to have something in that space. So I explained that to her and she said, well, I opened it at the store across the street, so you should be able to find it too. You guys have the same systems. And then I had to be like, no, like I couldn't say no, but I was like, no, not really. Like I had to kind of walk my way around that situation in a sort of nice way. So couldn't find it, and she was getting really frustrated with me. And I said, well, I don't even know what I said. I think I felt like I tried to say, well, you could return it at the other store and then rebuy it. We've done that many a times. I know that sounds really stupid, like a really dumb process, but I've had that happen before where I've had to, somebody bought something, forgot to use their Beauty Insider card, so we returned it quickly and then rebought it so they could use their Beauty Insider points. I know that sounds really stupid, but anything for customers. So I was like, well, maybe you could go over there and they'll be able to find it in their system. Like I was literally just trying to appease her, and she was like, well, I want my points now. And I said, okay, I don't remember what I said. I feel like I was literally just trying to, like, accommodate her because she was so aggressive. I feel like I was like, well, you can have any 100-point perk. Like, I was just trying to, like, get her away from me, I feel, at that point. Just because I was so, like, she was just coming off really aggressive. And she started getting really mad. She started yelling at me. She basically said, no, you're too stupid for this job. This is the easiest job on the planet. You literally work at Sephora. You have to be pretty to work at this job and smart, and you're neither of those things. Like, and I was just kind of standing there. I didn't really know what to say. I feel as though I blacked out at that point because I don't feel like anybody has ever came at me that aggressive before about something, like as minuscule as a cleanser and Beauty Insider points. Like I was trying to accommodate her the best I could, and she was just such a statement. So I just kind of stood there, and at that point I was, like I said, blacked out, and the girl that was working at Beauty Studio kind of walked over. She was sort of like a seasoned veteran at Sephora. She was brought in from another store, so she'd worked there a few years, and she was like, okay, let's handle this a little bit politely. And she, like, the customer, like, snapped her head and looked at her and said, I don't want her anywhere near this situation. You help me. So I walked away. I was like, I don't really want to, like, be confrontational, so I just kind of walked away. I walked into the back and I started crying because when people come at you so aggressive and you're so, like, angry, like I was so pent up angry, like I wanted to yell at her, but I cannot because the customer is always right. I started crying because I was so mad. And then maybe like 10 minutes later, the girl that was helping her had came back, and we were done. Like, the store was closed. Like, she was, like, coming back to make sure I was okay. And I said, so did you ever find, like, her Beauty Insider? And she was like, yeah, it was really hard though. We had to type in her zip code and search through like 50 pages of people. And the people that inserted her Beauty Insider whatever literally misspelled her name, misspelled her email, misspelled everything. And I feel like her phone number was like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Like they were just like throwing things in there because she didn't want to add any information. And I was just so like flabbergasted at the way this woman like was speaking to us at over Beauty Insider points. I was like, it's not like you didn't spend $1,000 and you're missing out on 1,000 points. You know what I'm saying? It was like a $60 cleanser. Like it was 60 points, and I was willing to give her anything she wanted just to like appease her. That was interesting. I got screamed at, and I just kind of was like, okay, well, that's where today went. That's what's happening. So after that, we closed the store, and I closed for the night. We didn't close the store, and I went home, and I told Brian about it, and we kind of laughed about it. And still to this day, I cannot believe that woman spoke to a small little puny 18-year-old like that. I was so heartbroken. I was like, okay, thanks. Those were the 2 worst customers I've ever had at Sephora. There's been a plethora of other customers who've been just wild, off the wall, people that stole from us, all sorts of things. It's just the things that happen working in retail. I don't even want to like, that's why I'm so nice to people in customer service, because their job is tough. Like treat them with respect. Unless they're like blatantly mean to you, be like very respectful, because like their job is very tough and they have to deal with crazies like that all the time. So that is it for this story time. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Go ahead and subscribe to my channel if you're not already, and I will see you guys in my next